Question 1. What is the primary difference between a general warranty deed and a special warranty deed in Florida real estate transactions? A general warranty deed guarantees the property's entire history, while special warranty deed only covers the period of the seller's ownership. B. General warranty deed is used only for commercial properties, while special warranty deed is for residential properties. C. Special warranty deed guarantees clear title, while general warranty deed does not. D. General warranty deed is for leasehold estates, while special warranty deed is for freehold estates. Answer: A. General warranty deed guarantees the property's entire history, while special warranty deed only covers the period of the seller's ownership. Explanation: a general warranty deed provides a full warranty of clear title that covers the property's entire history. In contrast, a special warranty deed only guarantees against defects or encumbrances during the period of the seller's ownership. Question 2. Describe the legal implications of an encroachment in real estate. A. It leads to automatic transfer of property rights. B. It can result in a lawsuit for trespass or lead to an easement by prescription. C. It has no legal implications unless registered. D. It only affects properties in rural areas. Answer: B. It can result in a lawsuit for trespass or lead to an easement by prescription. Explanation: encroachment can have significant legal implications, including potential lawsuits for trespass. If the encroachment continues for a legally defined period, it may lead to the creation of an easement by prescription. Question 3. In Florida, what is the significance of a homestead exemption from a taxation perspective? A. It increases the property tax. B. It allows for tax deduction on secondary properties. C. It reduces the property tax burden on a primary residence. D. It applies uniformly to all types of real estate. Answer: C. It reduces the property tax burden on a primary residence. Explanation: in Florida, the homestead exemption offers significant property tax relief for a primary residence. It lowers the property's taxable value, reducing the overall property tax burden. Question 4. Explain the concept of bundle of rights in real estate ownership. A. It refers to the rights to use, rent, and sell the property only. B. It is about the legal responsibilities associated with property ownership. C. It encompasses rights like possession, control, exclusion, enjoyment, and disposition. D. It exclusively deals with the right to modify or develop the property. Answer: C. It encompasses rights like possession, control, exclusion, enjoyment, and disposition. Explanation: the bundle of rights is a foundational concept in property law that includes the rights of possession, control, exclusion, enjoyment, and disposition. These rights define the various interests and interactions an owner can have with their property. Question 5. How does the doctrine of leases affect real estate transactions? A. It accelerates the transaction process. B. It nullifies the transaction if it's delayed. C. It may prevent a legal action if there's an unreasonable delay. D. It ensures all transactions are completed within a set time frame. Answer: C. It may prevent a legal action if there's an unreasonable delay. Explanation: the doctrine of leases can be applied in real estate transactions where there is an unreasonable delay in pursuing a right or claim. Such delay can hinder the enforcement of that right or claim. Question 6. Scenario: a buyer discovered a latent defect after purchasing a property. What legal recourse is available to the buyer in Florida? A. Filing for immediate foreclosure. B. Seeking damages if the seller failed to disclose the defect. C. Ignoring the defect as it's part of the property's character. D. Requesting a zoning change. Answer: B. Seeking damages if the seller failed to disclose the defect. Explanation: in Florida, if a seller fails to disclose a known latent defect, the buyer has legal recourse to seek damages. Sellers are obligated to disclose any defects that materially affect the value of the property and are not readily observable. Question 7. Define escheat as it applies to real estate in Florida. A. It's a process where the state takes ownership of a property after the owner passes away without heirs. B. It's the increase of land due to natural causes. C. It's a legal claim by a tenant to withhold rent. D. It's a method to determine property boundaries. Answer: A. It's a process where the state takes ownership of a property after the owner passes away without heirs. Explanation: escheat is a legal concept whereby the state may claim ownership of property when an individual dies without a will and without heirs. It ensures that property is not left ownerless. Question 8. What is the difference between ad valorem taxes and non-ad valorem assessments in Florida real estate? A. Ad valorem taxes are based on property value, while non-ad valorem assessments are for specific improvements or services. B. Ad valorem taxes are for commercial properties, while non-ad valorem are for residential properties. C. Non-ad valorem assessments are optional, while ad valorem taxes are mandatory. D. Ad valorem taxes are one-time fees, while non-ad valorem are recurring. Answer: A. Ad valorem taxes are based on property value, while non-ad valorem assessments are for specific improvements or services. Explanation: ad valorem taxes in Florida are based on the assessed value of the property and are used for general public expenses. Non-ad valorem assessments are charges for specific services like waste disposal, infrastructure improvements, or other community benefits. Question 9. Scenario: a property owner in Florida wants to transfer ownership to a relative without selling. What are the tax implications and legal processes involved? A. There are no tax implications. A standard sales contract is needed. B. Gift taxes may apply, and a deed transfer is required. C. Income taxes on the market value of the property are due immediately. D. Property taxes are reassessed, but no other processes are needed. Answer: B. Gift taxes may apply, and a deed transfer is required. Explanation: when transferring property ownership to a relative without a sale in Florida, gift taxes may apply depending on the value of the property. The legal process typically involves transferring the property through a deed, such as a quitclaim or warranty deed. Question 10. How does zoning impact property use in Florida municipalities? A. It only affects the aesthetic aspects of property development. B. It dictates land use, building sizes, and types of permissible structures. C. Zoning is advisory and does not legally bind property owners. D. It solely focuses on environmental conservation. Answer: B. It dictates land use, building sizes, and types of permissible structures. Explanation: zoning laws in Florida municipalities play a crucial role in determining how properties can be used. They dictate the types of activities allowed, the size and type of buildings, and other aspects of property development to ensure orderly growth and compatibility with community plans. Question 11. Explain the process and importance of title search in real estate transactions. A. It's a quick check of the property's appearance before sale. B. It involves verifying property taxes only. C. It's a thorough examination of public records to confirm clear title. D. It's the process of estimating the property's market value. Answer: C. It's a thorough examination of public records to confirm clear title. Explanation: A title search is an essential process in real estate transactions involving a detailed examination of public records. Its purpose is to ensure the property's title is clear of any lines, encumbrances, or legal issues that could affect the buyer's rights. Question 12. Describe the concept of real estate syndication and its typical structure. A. It's the process of dividing a property into smaller units for individual sale. B. It's a partnership where investors pool resources for real estate investments. C. It's a government program for affordable housing. D. It's a method of transferring property titles among family members. Answer. B. It's a partnership where investors pool resources for real estate investments. Explanation. Real estate syndication is a method where multiple investors come together, pooling their resources to invest in larger real estate projects. This partnership typically includes a sponsor who manages the investment and investors who provide capital. Question 13. What are the legal consequences of not adhering to Florida's disclosure laws in real estate? A. The property automatically reverts to the state. B. There are no legal consequences. C. It can lead to lawsuits and rescission of the sale. D. The agent loses their license permanently. Answer. C. It can lead to lawsuits and rescission of the sale. Explanation. Failure to adhere to Florida's real estate disclosure laws can have serious consequences. It can result in legal action against the seller or the real estate agent, including lawsuits for fraud or misrepresentation, and potentially lead to the rescission of the property sale. Question 14. Scenario. A tenant in Florida breaks a lease early. What are the landlord's rights and the tenant's liabilities in this situation? A. The landlord can immediately re-rent with no penalties to the tenant. B. The tenant has no liabilities and the landlord must find a new tenant. C. The landlord may keep the security deposit and seek damages for the remaining lease term. D. The landlord must return the security deposit in full immediately. Answer. C. The landlord may keep the security deposit and seek damages for the remaining lease term. Explanation. In Florida, if a tenant breaks a lease early, the landlord has the right to retain the security deposit and potentially seek additional damages for the unpaid portion of the lease term, subject to efforts to mitigate damages by re-renting the property. Question 15. Define and differentiate between joint tenancy and tenancy in common in Florida. A. Joint tenancy is only for married couples. Tenancy in common is for unmarried individuals. B. Joint tenancy includes the right of survivorship. Tenancy in common does not. C. Tenancy in common allows for commercial use. Joint tenancy is only for residential. D. Joint tenancy requires court approval. Tenancy in common does not. Answer. B. Joint tenancy includes the right of survivorship. Tenancy in common does not. Explanation. In Florida, joint tenancy is characterized by the right of survivorship, where upon the death of one tenant, their interest automatically passes to the remaining tenants. In contrast, tenancy in common does not include this right, and each tenant can dispose of their share independently. Question 16. How does Florida law treat condominium ownership differently from cooperative ownership? A. Condominium owners hold title to airspace and shared interest in common areas. Cooperative owners have shares in a corporation. B. Condominium ownership is for residential properties only. Cooperative ownership is for commercial properties. C. Cooperative owners have more voting rights than condominium owners. D. There are no significant differences between the two in Florida law. Answer. A. Condominium owners hold title to airspace and shared interest in common areas. Cooperative owners have shares in a corporation. Explanation. In Florida, condominium ownership means owning the individual unit's airspace and a shared interest in common areas. In contrast, cooperative ownership involves owning shares in a corporation that owns the property, with a right to occupy a specific unit. Question 17. What is a 1031 exchange, and how is it used in Florida real estate transactions? A. It's a direct swap of properties between two parties without tax implications. B. It allows for the deferral of capital gains taxes when investing in a similar property. C. It's a method for first-time homebuyers to avoid property taxes. D. It's a standard sales contract used for commercial properties. Answer: B. It allows for the deferral of capital gains taxes when investing in a similar property. Explanation: a 1031 exchange, used in Florida real estate, refers to a provision in the IRS code that allows investors to defer capital gains taxes by reinvesting the proceeds from the sale of a property into a similar, like candy, property. Question 18. Explain cap rate and its significance in commercial real estate valuation. A. It's the maximum legal interest rate for real estate loans. B. It indicates the expected rate of return on a commercial real estate investment. C. It's a cap on property taxes for commercial properties. D. It represents the limit on rental income increases per year. Answer: B. It indicates the expected rate of return on a commercial real estate investment. Explanation: the capitalization rate, cap rate, is a key metric in commercial real estate used to estimate the potential return on an investment property. It is calculated by dividing the property's net operating income by its current market value. Question 19. Scenario: a real estate agent in Florida fails to disclose a conflict of interest. What are the possible legal and professional consequences? A. The agent will receive a bonus. B. There are no consequences for non-disclosure. C. The agent may face legal action, fines, and loss of license. D. The transaction is automatically voided. Answer: C. The agent may face legal action, fines, and loss of license. Explanation: in Florida, failure by a real estate agent to disclose a conflict of interest can lead to serious consequences, including legal action against the agent, potential fines, and the risk of losing their real estate license. Question 20. How does the Fair Housing Act apply to real estate practices in Florida? A. It applies only to commercial property transactions. B. It prohibits discrimination in housing based on race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, or national origin. C. It allows landlords to select tenants based on their employment status. D. It mandates equal housing opportunities only in government-subsidized housing. Answer: B. It prohibits discrimination in housing based on race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, or national origin. Explanation: the Fair Housing Act is a federal law that applies in Florida and across the United States. It prohibits discrimination in the sale, rental, and financing of dwellings based on race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, or national origin, ensuring equal housing opportunities for all. Question 21. Define estoppel certificate in the context of Florida real estate. A. A document that prevents a tenant from denying previous statements about their lease. B. A certificate confirming property taxes have been paid. C. A license required for real estate agents to practice. D. A document used to transfer property ownership in probate. Answer: A. A document that prevents a tenant from denying previous statements about their lease. Explanation: an estoppel certificate in Florida real estate is a document usually used in leasing or mortgage transactions, where a tenant confirms certain facts about the lease that the lender or buyer can rely upon. It prevents the tenant from later claiming something contrary to what is in the certificate. Question 22. What are the legal responsibilities of a Florida real estate agent regarding earnest money deposits? A. To invest them in interest-bearing accounts. B. To hold them until the transaction is complete or voided. C. To immediately transfer them to the seller. D. To return them to the buyer after a set period. Answer: B. To hold them until the transaction is complete or voided. Explanation: in Florida, real estate agents are responsible for holding earnest money deposits in a trust account until the transaction is either completed or voided. This ensures that the funds are appropriately managed and accounted for throughout the transaction process. Question 23. Scenario: a Florida homeowner sells their primary residence, making a substantial profit. Explain the tax implications under the current Florida real estate laws. A. The profit is fully exempt from taxes. B. Capital gains tax applies to the entire profit. C. Only a portion of the profit is subject to capital gains tax. D. Property taxes are reassessed at the sale value. Answer: C. Only a portion of the profit is subject to capital gains tax. Explanation: under Florida real estate laws, when a homeowner sells their primary residence and makes a profit, they may be exempt from capital gains tax on a portion of the profit. The current federal law allows an exclusion of $250,000 for single filers and $500,000 for married couples filing jointly. Question 24. How does Florida's Markable Record Titles Act, MRTA, affect property titles? A. It automatically updates all property titles every 10 years. B. It extinguishes old claims against a property after a certain period. C. It requires all properties to be registered with the state. D. It simplifies the title transfer process for commercial properties. Answer: B. It extinguishes old claims against a property after a certain period. Explanation: Florida's Markable Record Titles Act, MRTA, simplifies land titles by extinguishing old claims and interests in a property that have not been asserted within a specific period, typically 30 years. This act helps clear up old title issues, making property transactions more straightforward. Question 25. What is the purpose of a CMA, comparative market analysis, in real estate, and how is it conducted? A. To assess property taxes based on similar properties. B. To determine rental rates for commercial properties. C. To estimate a property's value by comparing it to similar properties recently sold. D. To evaluate a property's structural integrity. Answer: C. To estimate a property's value by comparing it to similar properties recently sold. Explanation: a comparative market analysis, CMA, is a tool used in real estate to estimate a property's value. It involves comparing the property to similar properties in the area that have recently been sold, taking into account factors such as location, size, condition, and amenities. Question 26. Explain Florida's Deceptive and Unfair Trade Practices Act in relation to real estate practices. A. It allows real estate agents to use aggressive marketing tactics. B. It regulates the splitting of commissions between agents. C. It prohibits deceptive, unfair, and unconscionable acts in real estate transactions. D. It mandates standardized contract terms in all real estate deals. Answer: C. It prohibits deceptive, unfair, and unconscionable acts in real estate transactions. Explanation: Florida's Deceptive and Unfair Trade Practices Act is designed to protect consumers, including those involved in real estate transactions. It prohibits deceptive, unfair, and unconscionable practices, ensuring that transactions are conducted honestly and fairly. Question 27. Scenario: a property in Florida has been continuously used by someone other than the owner for over 20 years. Discuss the possible claim of adverse possession under Florida law. A. The user has no legal claim to the property. B. The user may claim legal title to the property after paying back taxes. C. The user can claim ownership if the use was public, notorious, and continuous. D. The user must pay the owner for the period of use to claim the property. Answer C. The user can claim ownership if the use was public, notorious, and continuous. Explanation. Under Florida law, a claim of adverse possession can be made if someone uses a property openly, notoriously, continuously, and hostilely for a statutory period, typically 20 years. If these conditions are met, the user may be able to claim legal title to the property. Question 28. Differentiate between actual notice and constructive notice in Florida real estate. A. Actual notice is physical possession, while constructive notice is through property registration. B. Actual notice is written documentation, while constructive notice is verbal communication. C. Actual notice is received directly, while constructive notice is implied by law. D. Actual notice is for commercial properties, constructive notice for residential. Answer C. Actual notice is received directly, while constructive notice is implied by law. Explanation. In Florida real estate, actual notice refers to information that a person has directly received, while constructive notice is information that a person is deemed to have due to its availability through public records or visible possession of the property. Question 29. What is a defeasance clause in a mortgage contract, and why is it important? A. It allows for early termination of the mortgage. B. It binds the borrower to a fixed interest rate. C. It voids the mortgage upon full payment of the loan. D. It prevents refinancing of the loan. Answer. C. It voids the mortgage upon full payment of the loan. Explanation. A defeasance clause in a mortgage contract is an essential provision that nullifies the mortgage once the borrower has fully paid off the loan. It ensures that the borrower's property is freed from the line of the mortgage upon repayment. Question 30. Scenario. A Florida real estate broker misrepresents a property's boundary lines. What are the potential legal ramifications? A. The broker may receive a formal warning. B. There are no legal ramifications for boundary misrepresentations. C. The broker may face legal action, including fines and license revocation. D. The transaction becomes null and void automatically. Answer. C. The broker may face legal action, including fines and license revocation. Explanation. Misrepresenting property boundaries is a serious offense in Florida real estate. If a broker is found to have misrepresented boundary lines, they could face legal consequences, including fines, civil lawsuits, and potentially revocation of their real estate license. Question 31. Explain the concept and process of probate in Florida real estate. A. It's the process of re-evaluating property taxes after an owner's death. B. It refers to the public auction of a property for unpaid taxes. C. It's the legal process of distributing a deceased person's property. D. It's a method of transferring property ownership to the state. Answer. C. It's the legal process of distributing a deceased person's property. Explanation. Probate in Florida real estate is the legal process that occurs after someone dies, involving the validation of their will and the distribution of their assets, including real property, according to the terms of the will or state law if there is no will. Question 32. What are the essential elements of a legally enforceable real estate contract in Florida? A. Offer, acceptance, consideration, and a written agreement. B. A verbal agreement, witness signatures, and a handshake. C. Property description, zoning classification, and a mortgage clause. D. A home inspection report, appraisal, and title insurance. Answer. A. Offer, acceptance, consideration, and a written agreement. Explanation. For a real estate contract to be legally enforceable in Florida, it must have certain essential elements. A clear offer and acceptance, consideration, something of value exchange D, and a written agreement that includes the signatures of the parties involved. Question 33. Scenario: a coastal property in Florida is affected by new environmental regulations. Discuss the impact on the property owner's rights. A. The owner must abandon the property. B. The property is exempt from new regulations. C. The owner may need to comply with new restrictions or face penalties. D. The owner receives compensation for any loss in property value. Answer: C. The owner may need to comply with new restrictions or face penalties. Explanation: when new environmental regulations affect a coastal property in Florida, the property owner may need to comply with additional restrictions, such as building limitations or conservation requirements. Failure to comply can result in legal penalties or fines. Question 34. To define and explain the significance of line priority in Florida real estate transactions. A. It determines the order of payment from sale proceeds. B. It's the order in which properties are listed for sale. C. It indicates the priority of tenant applications. D. It's the chronological order of property inspections. Answer: A. It determines the order of payment from sale proceeds. Explanation: in Florida real estate transactions, line priority determines which lines are paid first from the proceeds of a property sale. This is crucial when a property is sold with multiple lines against it, as it affects the likelihood and amount each line holder receives. Question 35. What are the key differences between freehold and leasehold estates in Florida? A. Freehold estates are for residential use only, while leasehold estates are for commercial use. B. Freehold estates offer perpetual ownership, while leasehold estates are based on lease agreements. C. Leasehold estates are tax exempt, while freehold estates are not. D. Freehold estates are owned by the state, while leasehold estates are privately owned. Answer: B. Freehold estates offer perpetual ownership, while leasehold estates are based on lease agreements. Explanation: in Florida, a freehold estate represents ownership of property for an indefinite duration, meaning the owner has perpetual rights to the property. In contrast, a leasehold estate is a temporary right to use and occupy property based on a lease agreement. Question 36. Scenario: a Florida real estate agent is accused of violating fair housing laws. Outline the investigation and penalty process. A. The agent is immediately fined and loses their license. B. A complaint is filed, followed by an investigation, and if found guilty, penalties may include fines or license suspension. C. There is no formal process. Resolution is handled informally. D. The agent is required to take a training course with no other penalties. Answer: B. Complaint is filed, followed by an investigation, and if found guilty, penalties may include fines or license suspension. Explanation: when a Florida real estate agent is accused of violating fair housing laws, the process typically starts with a formal complaint. This is followed by an investigation, and if the agent is found guilty, the penalties can range from fines to suspension or revocation of their real estate license. Question 37. How does the Florida homestead law affect property ownership and creditor claims? A. It limits the size of property that can be owned as a homestead. B. It provides immunity from all creditor claims against the property. C. It offers protection against certain creditor claims and can impact property tax. D. It requires all homeowners to occupy their property year-round. Answer: C. It offers protection against certain creditor claims and can impact property tax. Explanation: the Florida homestead law provides homeowners with protection against certain creditor claims, meaning that creditors cannot force the sale of the homestead to satisfy debts under most circumstances. Additionally, the law can offer property tax benefits, including exemptions and assessment limitations. Question 38. What are special assessment taxes, and when are they typically applied in Florida? A. Taxes applied on luxury properties only. B. Taxes for general municipal services. C. Additional taxes for specific local improvements like sidewalks or streetlights. D. Statewide taxes for environmental conservation. Answer C. Additional taxes for specific local improvements like sidewalks or streetlights. Explanation: in Florida, special assessment taxes are levied on properties to fund specific local improvements, such as building sidewalks, streetlights, or sewer systems. These taxes are applied to properties that directly benefit from the improvement. Question 39. Explain the role of flood zones in real estate transactions in Florida. A. They determine the eligibility for certain types of mortgages. B. Flood zones are irrelevant in Florida real estate transactions. C. They impact insurance requirements and property value assessments. D. They dictate the architectural style of buildings. Answer C. They impact insurance requirements and property value assessments. Explanation: in Florida, properties located in designated flood zones have specific implications in real estate transactions. These include the need for flood insurance and can affect property values. Flood zone designations are crucial for understanding risk and insurance obligations. Question 40. Scenario: a Florida real estate transaction involves a foreign seller. Discuss the FIRPTA. Foreign Investment in Real Property Tax Act. Implications: A. FIRPTA does not apply in Florida. B. The buyer must withhold a portion of the sale price for tax purposes. C. The transaction is exempt from all taxes. D. The seller must become a U.S. citizen to complete the transaction. Answer B. The buyer must withhold a portion of the sale price for tax purposes. Explanation: under FIRPTA, in a Florida real estate transaction involving a foreign seller, the buyer is required to withhold a portion of the sale price, typically 15%, and remit it to the IRS. This withholding serves as a potential tax on the foreign seller's capital gains. Question 41. What is a due on sale clause in a mortgage contract, and how does it function in Florida real estate? A. It allows the borrower to sell the property without paying off the mortgage. B. It prohibits the sale of the property until the mortgage is fully paid. C. It requires the full loan balance to be paid if the property is sold. D. It decreases the interest rate upon the sale of the property. Answer C. It requires the full loan balance to be paid if the property is sold. Explanation: a due on sale clause in a mortgage contract stipulates that the entire remaining balance of the loan must be paid if the property is sold. This clause prevents the new buyer from taking over the existing mortgage. Question 42. Scenario: a Florida property is found to have unpermitted improvements. What are the potential consequences for the seller and buyer? A. The seller must reduce the sale price. The buyer faces no consequences. B. The seller may face legal action. The buyer assumes responsibility for the improvements. C. Both parties are fined by the state. D. The sale is automatically voided. Answer B. The seller may face legal action. The buyer assumes responsibility for the improvements. Explanation: if a Florida property has unpermitted improvements, the seller may face legal action for not complying with building codes or for failing to disclose. The buyer, upon purchasing the property, assumes responsibility for any issues arising from these unpermitted improvements. Question 43. Define acceleration clause in the context of real estate mortgages in Florida. A. It allows the borrower to speed up mortgage payments without penalty. B. It increases the interest rate if payments are late. C. It requires the full loan balance to be paid if the borrower defaults. D. It automatically extends the mortgage term under financial hardship. Answer C. It requires the full loan balance to be paid if the borrower defaults. Explanation: An acceleration clause in a real estate mortgage allows the lender to require the immediate repayment of the entire loan balance if the borrower defaults on the mortgage, such as failing to make payments. Question 44. How does Florida law address discrimination in real estate practices? A. It is only addressed at the federal level, not state. B. It prohibits discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, national origin, handicap, or familial status. C. It allows discrimination based on financial status. D. It mandates equal treatment only in the sale of residential properties. Answer B. It prohibits discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, national origin, handicap, or familial status. Explanation: Florida law, in line with federal law, prohibits discrimination in real estate practices based on race, color, religion, sex, national origin, handicap, or familial status. This ensures fair and equal treatment in all real estate transactions. Question 45. Explain the legal concept of agency in Florida real estate and its importance. A. It refers to the state's authority to regulate real estate practices. B. It is the relationship between a real estate agent and their client, involving fiduciary duties. C. It pertains to the zoning authority of local governments. D. It is a method of resolving disputes between buyers and sellers. Answer B. It is the relationship between a real estate agent and their client, involving fiduciary duties. Explanation: In Florida real estate, agency refers to the relationship established between a real estate agent and their client. This relationship entails fiduciary responsibilities, where the agent is obligated to act in the best interests of their client, with duties of loyalty, confidentiality, and care. Question 46. Scenario: A commercial tenant in Florida alters the leased property without consent. What are the legal implications? A. The tenant can claim ownership of the alterations. B. The tenant may be required to restore the property to its original condition. C. There are no legal implications as long as the lease is active. D. The property automatically transfers to the tenant. Answer B. The tenant may be required to restore the property to its original condition. Explanation: In Florida, if a commercial tenant makes alterations to the leased property without the landlord's consent, they may be legally obligated to restore the property to its original condition upon the termination of the lease, depending on the lease terms. Question 47. What constitutes a breach of contract in Florida real estate transactions? A. Changing the closing date of the transaction. B. Failing to adhere to the terms and conditions agreed upon in the contract. C. Conducting a home inspection. D. Negotiating the sale price after contract signing. Answer B. Failing to adhere to the terms and conditions agreed upon in the contract. Explanation: A breach of contract in Florida real estate transactions occurs when either party fails to fulfill their obligations as outlined in the contract. This could include not meeting deadlines, failing to pay agreed upon amounts, or not adhering to other terms and conditions of the contract. Question 48. Describe the closing disclosure form in Florida real estate and its significance. A. It is a form declaring the property is free of liens. B. It outlines the final closing costs and loan terms for the buyer. C. It is a disclosure of the seller's financial situation. D. It serves as the final offer in a real estate negotiation. Answer B. It outlines the final closing costs and loan terms for the buyer. Explanation: The closing disclosure form in Florida real estate is a critical document provided to the buyer. It outlines the final closing costs, loan terms, and other financial details of the transaction. This form ensures transparency and provides the buyer with a clear understanding of the financial aspects of the purchase. Question 49. Scenario: A Florida real estate broker operates without renewing their license. Discuss the potential repercussions. A. The broker can continue operating but with limited privileges. B. There are no consequences as long as the broker has prior experience. C. The broker may face penalties, including fines and legal action. D. The broker is given a grace period to renew without penalty. Answer: C. The broker may face penalties, including fines and legal action. Explanation: Operating as a real estate broker in Florida without a valid license is illegal. If a broker practices without renewing their license, they could face significant consequences, including fines, legal action, and the potential loss of their ability to legally practice real estate in the state. Question 50. Define chain of title in real estate and its relevance in property transactions in Florida. A. It is a list of all properties a real estate agent has sold. B. It refers to the sequence of historical transfers of title to a property. C. It is a chain of real estate agents involved in a transaction. D. It is the chronological order of property appraisals. Answer: B. It refers to the sequence of historical transfers of title to a property. Explanation: The chain of title in real estate is the sequence of historical transfers and records of a property's ownership. In Florida property transactions, examining the chain of title is crucial to ensure there are no defects or issues with the property's ownership history that could affect the buyer's title. Question 51. How do CC and Rs, covenants, conditions, and restrictions, affect property use in Florida communities? A. They dictate the aesthetic standards and use restrictions in a community. B. They are only guidelines and have no legal enforceability. C. They determine property tax rates for individual properties. D. They regulate the allocation of parking spaces only. Answer: A. They dictate the aesthetic standards and use restrictions in a community. Explanation: CC and Rs are legally enforceable rules set by a homeowners association, HOA, or similar entity that dictate the use, appearance, and maintenance of properties within a community. They can include guidelines on architectural styles, landscaping, fences, and other aspects of property use and appearance. Question 52. Scenario: A Florida homeowner faces foreclosure. Explain the process and options available to the homeowner. A. The homeowner has no options and must vacate the property immediately. B. The homeowner can stop the foreclosure by filing for bankruptcy. C. The homeowner can only negotiate with the lender for a loan modification. D. Options include loan modification, short sale, or refinancing. Answer: D. Options include loan modification, short sale, or refinancing. Explanation: In Florida, a homeowner facing foreclosure has several options. They can try to modify the loan terms with the lender, pursue a short sale, selling the property for less than the mortgage balance, or refinance the loan. Bankruptcy might also be an option that can temporarily stop foreclosure. Question 53. What is a good faith estimate in Florida real estate, and when is it provided? A. An estimate of the property's market value, provided during the appraisal. B. A non-binding estimate of closing costs, provided early in the loan application process. C. A binding agreement on the final sale price, provided at contract signing. D. An assessment of repair costs, provided after a home inspection. Answer: B. A non-binding estimate of closing costs, provided early in the loan application process. Explanation: A good faith estimate in Florida real estate is a document provided to a borrower during the early stages of a loan application. It gives an estimate of the expected closing costs. This document is non-binding, but helps the borrower understand potential costs associated with the loan. Question 54. Explain leasehold improvement and its implications for tenants and landlords in Florida. A. Modifications to a leased space by the landlord, typically at the tenant's expense. B. Temporary changes made by the tenant, which must be removed at lease end. C. Permanent alterations made by the tenant, with the landlord's permission. D. State-mandated upgrades for environmental compliance. Answer: C. Permanent alterations made by the tenant, with the landlord's permission. Explanation: leasehold improvements are modifications or enhancements made to a leased space by the tenant, often with the landlord's consent. These can be permanent changes like adding walls or upgrading facilities. The implications depend on the lease terms, often involving who bears the cost, and whether the improvements remain after the lease ends. Question 55, scenario. A buyer in Florida discovers a property is in a flood zone after purchase. What are the disclosure obligations of the seller and agent? A. The seller and agent have no obligation to disclose flood zone information. B. Only the agent is required to disclose flood zone status. C. Both the seller and agent are required to disclose if the property is in a flood zone. D. Disclosure is only required if the property has previously flooded. Answer: C. Both the seller and agent are required to disclose if the property is in a flood zone. Explanation: in Florida, both the seller and the real estate agent have a duty to disclose if a property is located in a flood zone. This information is material to the transaction, as it affects the property's insurability and potential risk to the buyer. Question 56. How does title insurance protect a buyer in Florida real estate transactions? A. It guarantees a fixed property value for insurance purposes. B. It covers property damages after the sale. C. It protects against losses from defects in the title. D. It insures against physical defects in the property. Answer: C. It protects against losses from defects in the title. Explanation: title insurance in Florida real estate transactions provides protection to the buyer against losses due to title defects, such as lines, encumbrances, or issues with the legal ownership of the property. It ensures that the buyer's investment is protected against these potential problems. Question 57. What is the significance of market value versus assessed value in Florida property assessments? A. Market value is determined by the state, assessed value by local governments. B. Market value is the actual selling price, assessed value is for tax purposes. C. They are synonymous terms in Florida real estate. D. Market value is for insurance, assessed value for sales listings. Answer: B. Market value is the actual selling price, assessed value is for tax purposes. Explanation: in Florida, market value refers to the price a property might reasonably sell for in the open market, while assessed value is the valuation placed on the property by local government assessors for property tax purposes. The assessed value is often a percentage of the market value. Question 58, scenario. A Florida property is sold with an undisclosed sinkhole issue. What legal actions can the buyer take? A. The buyer can request a state inspection at no charge. B. The buyer must accept the property as is. C. The buyer can pursue legal action for nondisclosure. D. The buyer can only file a complaint with the Real Estate Commission. Answer: C. The buyer can pursue legal action for nondisclosure. Explanation: if a property in Florida is sold with an undisclosed sinkhole issue, the buyer may have grounds for legal action against the seller for nondisclosure. Sellers are required to disclose known material defects, such as sinkholes, which could affect the property's value or safety. Question 59. Define Real Estate Investment Trust, REIT, and its function in the Florida real estate market. A. A government fund for affordable housing projects. B. A private organization that manages property rentals. C. A corporation that pools investor money to invest in real estate assets. D. A loan program for first-time real estate investors. Answer: C. A corporation that pools investor money to invest in real estate assets. Explanation: a real estate investment trust, REIT, is a type of corporation that pools money from multiple investors to purchase, manage, or finance real estate assets. In Florida, REITs allow individuals to invest in large-scale real estate ventures without having to buy or manage the properties themselves. Question 60. What are the legal requirements for recordation of real estate documents in Florida, and why is it important? A. Documents must be notarized and filed with the county clerk for public record. B. Recordation is optional and serves only as a personal record for the owner. C. Legal requirements include estate review and approval. D. Documents must be submitted to the Florida Real Estate Commission. Answer: A. Documents must be notarized and filed with the county clerk for public record. Explanation: in Florida, the recordation of real estate documents, such as deeds, involves notarizing the documents and filing them with the county clerk's office. This process makes the documents a matter of public record, which is crucial for establishing a clear and traceable chain of title and for protecting the rights and interests of parties involved in the transaction.